Hello, how are everyone's? How are you guys? Can you guys let me know how are you? Yeah. Maybe I should just. Are you feeling better? Thank you so much for asking. I'm feeling actually not so much better. Still coughing quite severely. So I'm just gonna try and see if I can do live streaming today. If still not feeling so good, then probably just gonna stop early today. And thank you so much for asking, my friend. And can you guys hear me clearly? Can you guys hear me clearly? Yeah, please type on the screen to let me know if you guys can hear me clearly. Oh, that is fantastic. Yeah, that is fantastic, my friend. Yeah, and also let me set up. Yeah, maybe I'll set up it tomorrow. Yeah. Okay. Still not feeling so well today. But trying my very best to still start the live today, as I know many people actually are waiting for me to start lives. It feels almost like an obligation to do live streaming every day because many people are waiting. Will definitely try my best to have live stream every day. Yeah, but of course have to also, just take care of myself and yeah, still setting things up. Okay. Yeah, and good morning, everyone. So yesterday is so even though I don't feel obligated, yeah, thank you, my friend. Yeah, if you are not up to it at any time, we understand. Thank you, my friend. Yeah, so I will try my best, okay? So in case if I really don't feel very comfortable, I will just let you guys know and we'll just finish the day early, okay? Yeah, so I was saying that even though like yesterday we didn't have a live stream, however, I didn't take the entire day off for a sick leave because I have a lot of schedules that I still have to fulfill, right? So that is why like yesterday I had a quite very important business meeting. It was how do you say, like it was really really eye-opening. So I visited one of the best like MCN companies here in Shanghai. So for those of you who might not know what does MCN mean, okay, it's not because like I am gonna sign with one of the MCN here. It's just because that, because right now I told many of you guys that I run multiple like startups, right? And one of the startups project that I recently started is actually the project to do cross-border e-commerce. And one of the things that one of the biggest trend we're having right now is that TikTok actually take up TikTok Shop, and then actually added one more channel for people in different countries to start, promoting their own products and sell their stuff to all over the globe. That is something that is considered to be a great opportunity. So if you look at the history, we have Amazon, we have eBay. Those are like a very traditional way of doing e-commerce. And pretty much those kind of market is pretty established and very mature. So if you want to get away into like Amazon, eBay, it's pretty much like a saturated market unless you have a very good product. Otherwise, you're just gonna have to fight in a very fierce competition in order to find your own spot, right? So the thing is that when TikTok Shop opened, last year, I think the last year or at the end of the year before last year, and also Renault also has this plan of starting the cross-border e-commerce this year, I think. So that is why, like, definitely consider that to be a great opportunities to grab it. So yesterday, that is why like I visited one of the biggest company in Shanghai, and I want to see like how they operate, so that there must be something that I could learn. Later on, like we could implement all those great strategies that is previously implemented successfully in the companies here in China, and we could just later implement it into, the kind of business when we're building overseas, right? So that's the original plan. And later when I had this discussion with the founder of that company, it was so interesting to know that how mature the entire social media e-commerce platform is right now in China. It's not like, okay, so everyone is doing their job. So the market has separated into different niche markets. And there are like companies focusing only like one small tiny area of the entire social media e-commerce platform. And then, like, even though they're just focusing on a very small niche market, they're able to earn a huge amount of money just by only focusing on that niche market. And also, the thing is that by focusing on the niche market itself, even though it might be a very niche market already, still there are like fierce competition inside every niche market. So for example, right now, if you look at China, the entire social media e-commerce platform, so like there are companies that specifically focus on cultivating, training the hosts who are able to, sell stuff on the platform, and, and also like companies specifically focused on, finding those right hosts for those companies who are thinking or planning to sell this stuff, right? And also there are specific companies that focus on, just managing cash flow for all those companies. Like it's like such a mature industry, and there are so many elements inside like every aspect of the industry. And like to me, that this is definitely eye-opening, like so amazing. And I don't see that happening in other countries. So this is definitely considered to be a great opportunity to do right now. So that is why like I feel like extremely excited after yesterday, even though I'm still like quite sick. Like I feel extremely excited seeing like how all those like kind of things that is already happening here in China, and these are the things that we could potentially bring to the entire world. That is absolutely amazing. Yeah. And guys, follow me please, okay? Follow me please if you haven't done so. For those people who say that we Chinese are workaholic, you're right. Yeah. And it actually comes to another great, very interesting topic. So why are Chinese people all workaholic? So I actually was having this discussion with my husband. Like whenever I start to work too hard, like I just got sick, right? And to be honest, I am not the someone who's built with a very strong body. Like I do get sick from time to time, especially when I just overwork. And sometimes it's really hard for me to control the right amount of time that I should work. Like every time just, I have a big heart, like my heart just could push me always to work harder and harder. And somehow like my body cannot just, have that amount of work for myself. So I think like it's overall speaking, like for the past decades, especially from the 70s, 80s, all the way till now, China has experienced the huge growth. Like in every industry, China had lots of growth, right? And also because the country started from pretty much like zero, and when it grows from 0 to 100, right, you definitely have a lot of things that you could do, like a lot of policies, and also on the country's balance sheet, definitely you have a lot of flexibility when it comes to all the fiscal policy and monetary policies, right? You can definitely add a lot to the economy so that it can grow, like for example, taking on more debts, right? So because of all that, China has experienced huge growth. That is why like in the 90s, in the 2000s, 2010, like every year we're having like double-digit GDP growth back then. Because of those extremely high GDP growth back then, it also caused so many people like was able to get rich, right? So I shared before in my live streaming that if you look at, for example, the 70s, 80s, everyone was very poor. and nobody were allowed to do business on their own, right? Everyone were allocated a job to do. Like you were allocated to be a worker inside the sugar factory. You were allocated to take a job to work in the like clothes manufacturing factory, and all of those are state owned, right? Back then in the I think 70s or 80s, right? So like everyone started with poor. Like no matter how talented you are, you were not given an opportunity to shine back then in this kind of environment back then. However, nowadays it's so different. Starting from the 70s or 80s till now, especially I think after the university entrance examination was back to the place. That was the kind of the switch, right? So from that moment, and also China started to have like so many different new policies like in place. For example, policies that started to allow people to start to do business on their own rather than, they must work inside the state-owned factories or government agencies. Like people were allowed. Before, people were not allowed, right? And right now, people were allowed to do all that. Yeah, 澡堂弄编制, 对吧? Yeah, even like working in those like public shower house, like you still have to like be allocated in order to work there. But nowadays, like throughout the past several decades, like the whole mechanism has changed completely, right? There are people who are able to start a business themselves, right? And just as a result of that, people can then, as long as they're smart and they have a very hardworking attitude, and also they are very able to catch the great business opportunities in the society, then they are able to do that, right? So over the past 3 decades, you start to see a wealth gap start to build inside the society. There are some people who become very, very rich just because they are smarter and they work harder and they find the right industry to build their business. And that is why like you start to see all those like very famous entrepreneurs. And of course also people who are like less talented, just live their everyday life as normal, and as a result they just stay where they are right now, right? So overall speaking, when you have a society that you start to see some people getting extremely rich at extremely fast speed compared to others, then what would you want to do? There's a saying in China that is called 这个不患寡患不均, which means that people are not afraid of being poor. People are afraid of being relatively poor, right? Is that right? Right? If everyone is poor, you don't feel that is not okay because everyone is living the same. Basically, the person living next door is also like very poor. There's nothing we can do, and probably you just accept all the reality and just live very happily, right? However, when you start to have a society where some people are become richer just because they work harder than you, or they're just more talented than you, they're smarter than you, and you yourself are still like, okay, the mediocre, like you both started from the same like starting point, and some people all of a sudden they just become like way richer, then that is the moment you start to reflect on yourselves and you start to feel like not so happy, right? You start to think, oh, is there anything wrong about me? 就有点刺音啊。我来看一下。Some people say that it's the background noise is a bit loud today. So let me see if I can solve this problem, okay, my friend? Let me see if I can solve this problem. Yeah. How about now? Can you guys hear it? Is it better now, my friend? Is it better now? Is it better now, my friend? Yeah. Yeah, uh just like this friend said that, okay, I'm just an average worker. Okay, great. I'm just average worker, but made right decision on purchasing precious metal, right? So you made the right decision to make the right investment. That is why, like, okay, you were able to accumulate a bigger amount of wealth than other people, right? So, okay, Also, that's the same thing that happened. But there's also some reason behind why you're able to purchase the precious metal and enjoy the rally of the price increase, right? Maybe it's because of the luck. Maybe it's also because like you analyze the entire market and you consider like back then it was a great opportunity to make this investment. And that is why like you started to make this investment, and then like you were able to make more money than others, right? So like say for example, every one of us, I'm pretty sure like you in front of the screen also have encountered the same kind of scenario where you look around and look at one of your peers, right? You both just started from the same primary school, junior high school, senior high school, same university. And then later we discover that, okay, even though we started from the same starting point, and you start to see some people who are better than you, right? Some people, for example, like me, who are quite competitive in my personality, would definitely would want myself to be the one who can catch up with those people, those peers, and in every aspect to be like more outstanding, right? Um, oh my God. Oh, definitely still not recovering, but I'll try my best, okay, my friend. Yeah. If still this continues, then I'll probably just finish the live early today. And guys, follow me, please, if you haven't done so, okay? So, oh my God, it's pretty bad. Yeah. Yeah, thank you, my friend. I'm gonna definitely take my time and be very slow today, okay? Yeah. So I was saying that in China over the past 3 decades, it was definitely not like that when my parents were young, at their generation when they were like children, right? People were not very competitive that because basically no matter how hard work you are, how hardworking you are, and like whether which probably like, everyone was allocated equal resources and equal pay. So no matter how hardworking you are, you're not just gonna live better than others, right? However, over the past 3 decades, things have changed vastly. It becomes all of a sudden that if you are more hardworking than others, it is like really true that you will live a better life than others. So, for example, man, when our parents' generation, right, our parents' generation, when they raised us up in China, our generation, especially we are the especially when we are the single child generation. So the kind of mindset is there's this very famous saying in China called 望子成龙,望女成凤, right? Everyone heard about it. Will you do the live streaming tomorrow? I'm not sure. No doubt. Really depends on how my health condition is. Okay. So if I continue to be like this, I probably will have to take one more day off. Okay. Just do it like cross days. But thanks for asking. No guarantee. Yeah, because pretty sick as you guys can see. Yeah. So this is the kind of the mindset that was like deeply rooted in my mind as well. Like when I was raised up. When I was raised up, my parents, because I was a single child of the entire family. In China, there are many people just like me in our generation that we are the only hope of the family because we are the only child of the family, right? So parents would put, to be honest, quite a heavy load of pressure on you. For example, always wanting you to study harder because back then they were not given this opportunity to study hard and in order to get into a university and then later on get great job opportunity, right? So that is why like later when the time changed, they want their children able to catch this opportunity and become the one who are able to get into great university and eventually get a great job. So our generation, because our parents all had this kind of mindset, which is called, you know, 望子成龙,望女成凤, want their son to be the dragon, want their daughter to be the phoenix. This is a direct translation of that saying in China back then. So our single child generation actually have, carried lots of pressure, carried lots of pressure, from our parents' generation of having to really study hard and in order to get into a very good university and then later on, find a great job. So why wasn't live yesterday, my friend? You're giving me lots of pressure. The reason why I wasn't having live yesterday was because like you guys can tell, like I'm sick, right? So I took a day off. So to be honest, I should also take today off as well because like the health condition is not so good. However, there's so many people waiting out there. I just feel like, I need to do it just for you guys. So for the sake of that, you guys need to definitely follow me, please, and tap on the screen to send in likes. And also, it would be great. Yeah, thanks, Xiaolofei, for sending all the 人气票. Thank you. Yeah, thank you guys. Yeah, really trying my very best to do it. So, yeah, and people say that I look amazing today. Thank you so much for saying that. I also feel like I look amazing today. Yeah, I will pray tonight that you get healed. Thank you, my friends. Yeah, thank you so much for that. Yeah. Also, people ask what's the topic today. Okay, usually the topic in my live streaming is about China and the world. It's about sharing about what we happened in China, what's are the things that's going on in China, what happened in China before, and what's the overall mindset in China, like everything about China from my side. Also, I would also compare the kind of China culture together with the culture from other countries. So for those of you who are new in here, if you have any questions about China, or if you have any questions about other countries, you could ask him here. It's a definitely a great place for cross culture communication. Okay, so that is the topic and main purpose of this live stream. Just for those of you who are new in here, for those of you who don't know about it. Okay, so definitely not at the best energy level today, as you guys can see. Like I'm quite sick. Yeah. So back to the topic, I was saying that because there's someone saying that, okay, you're sick. Like, why are you still working so hard? Like you Chinese are all workaholic. So I was kind of explaining why, the reason behind why, right? So in summary of what I just explained was China experienced big growth over the past 3 decades, starting from zero to what we have become today. And over the past 3 decades, just because of the huge economic growth, the fast growth speed, that is why there are so many people that are able to take on the ride of this like growth trend to become really rich. So you start to see a wealth gap in the society. And when you start to see people around you become richer than you, what do you think? You will start to think, reflect on yourselves, like why we all start from the same starting point, and all of a sudden, some people are just becoming so much better than me, living so much better off than me, and well, there must be something wrong that I did, right? And also, you start to feel like maybe I should also work as hard as they are, or even harder, or like if just because of my all sorts of like education I get, I couldn't just reach a higher status. Maybe what I should do is just to ask my children to work as hard as possible so that in their generation, they're gonna not gonna live the same life as I do. They're gonna be able to live a better off life. That is the kind of mindset of our parents and also our generation. Over the past decade was considered to be the best time for people in China to do startups. China experienced a great growth, and also there were a lot of VCs, PEs, those investment institutions across the globe looking for investment opportunities in China. So as long as you have a great idea and you are someone with great execution and ability and you want to start up a business, and that is why like you were able to do it in China, like not so hard to raise money over the past decades, past 1 decade, like to raise money and then start a business. So that is why like also like for the past over the past 1 decade, if you look at all the companies in Hong Kong Stock Exchange and also many companies in the US, the Nasdaq, New York Stock Exchange, many companies are actually the Chinese company, right? Especially the Hong Kong Stock Exchange, you don't see like a lot of companies from local Hong Kong, from other countries, majority of them, over 90% of the newly listed companies in Hong Kong Stock Exchange, which is considered to be the biggest stock exchange in Asia, right? And what are the companies that got listed most? The Chinese companies. The reason why like I are all the Chinese companies, right? Is because 稍微调整一下这个镜头。The reason why is because of, like I said, there are so many entrepreneurs coming out over the past decade dedicated to starting up a business, trying to grab the economic growth, right? We have like a lot of economic growth. When you had lots of economic growth, what would happen? Like everyone is earning a lot of more money than before, right? So over the past 1 decade in China, you see a huge trend of what we call consumption upgrade, 消费升级, right? So it was definitely the golden era for those luxury brands, right? People, when they buy bags for women, when we buy bags, we no longer just buy like ordinary bags, right? All those just like average brand bags. There's huge number of women in China start to buy all those luxury brands, right? So that is like consumption upgrade, right? And also one of the another very interesting phenomenon here in China over the past decade is some consumption brand like bubble tea, right? 奶茶变成一个非常大的一个 trend, right? So people back then were like pretty okay contented with bubble tea with just milk and tea, right? However, because of the consumption upgrade that happened over the past decade, there are so many like bubble teas start to competing with each other, trying to make all sorts of like very exotic flavor bubble tea and charge a relatively higher price than before. And people are very willing to pay. Like people started to pursue quality then like okay just like it needs to be very cheap, I want to buy it, so it's like so different, like everything is consumption, and like bubble tea is a great example, and we could also quote some other examples like cosmetics for ladies, right? It's also a big market. So before, women in China, basically you walk on the street, you don't see people do makeups, right? Everyone is just walking on just with their bare face. Somehow, because of the consumption upgrade, women also started to buy cosmetics and like all those like skincare products, and they started to buy expensive skincare products rather than like the dabao, like those kind of brands we used when we were little, right? Those average like skincare products. So these were like all the what we call consumption upgrade that happened over the past decade. And what happened later after the consumption upgrade? What happened later was, more people starting to get into the industry and start to, you know, have startups and start to build more business. And all of a sudden, it becomes a very good cycle, the China's economy, right? So basically, that's what happened. Yeah. And guys, follow me, please. Okay. Follow me, please, if you haven't done so. Okay. Guys, follow me, please, if you haven't done so. Yeah. Hello, Romeo from California. Good to see you again. I remember you coming to my live stream before. Yeah. And guys, follow me, please, okay? Follow me, please, if you haven't done so, my friend. Yeah, it would be great if you could follow me, my friend. Yeah. Yeah. Do your live streaming, even though not having a very good health condition. Still, there are so many people waiting for the live streaming. So start the live streaming today again. So definitely want more joiners. It would be great if you guys could, first of all, join me. And second, tap the screen to sending likes, okay? Let me reach 10,000 likes if possible. And also, yeah, it would be great. There's a button down below on RedNote where you could send something called 人气票. It'd be great you could send in those like the yellow tickets, which is called 人气票, so that this live stream can be pushed to more people. Okay, so definitely also more comments, send more comments. So like according to those algorithm of those social media platform, they would first of all see how many new followers you get, and second, see how many likes you get, right? Also third, to see whether people are interacting very actively with you, so also like comments, etc., to decide whether this is considered to be a good live stream or not, and whether should push this live stream to more people's like page so that more people can come in. Okay. So if you think this live stream is great, if you think I am great, if you really like this live stream, definitely share it to more people. So one way you could help me is first of all, just follow me. And second of all, sending likes, sending the promotion tickets, like I said, the yellow tickets, and also sending gifts or just type in the comments area to have like more interaction with me. Okay. Greatly appreciate that. Okay. So again, for those new joining us, the purpose of this live streaming or the topic of live streaming is about China and the world. So usually I would share a lot of my knowledge about China in all aspects. So if you have any questions about China, if there's any topic specifically about China that you would discuss, you want to discuss, could definitely send in the comments. When I see it and I consider that to be a great topic, I would then pick your question and elaborate and share you my knowledge and my views. Okay? Yeah. Have you ever worked or studied abroad? Yes, I have. Yeah. So I have so I studied my undergrad degree in one of the top university here in China. And during my university years, I did an exchange program for 1 semester, which is around 3 months in US and the University of Texas at Austin, which is also considered to be a quite good university in the US, right? And afterwards, I did a master's degree in London School of Economics. And after graduated from London School of Economics of London, right? Then started my career and work in Hong Kong in an American firm. Basically, like the work environment is all English based. So I guess the reason why you asked me like whether I get abroad for study or work is because like you are amazed by how good I speak English, right, my friend? Yeah, I live in Austin. Go Longhorns! Yeah, I remember they do the Longhorn, right? This is the Longhorn sign, right? Yeah. Welcome, my friend from Austin. Good to see you here. Have you followed me, my friend? If you haven't followed me, definitely follow me, okay? Yeah, definitely follow me. Yeah, Austin. Yeah, like one interesting fact about Austin, okay? So Austin, going to Austin was the very first time I went to US, okay? It was my very first time in my university exchange program. That was the very first time I went to the US. And to be honest, like I used to think all the US Americans are like, no offense, okay, guys, no offense. It was just my stereotype before. The kind of impression was like, oh, many Americans are like really fat. Well, it's pretty offensive to say that, okay? But like it was back then, my impression that people there were like like with big size of body, okay? So that's kind of impression I have, like because we see lots of the videos, relatively speaking, like Asian people are skinny and like Westerners, especially Americans, maybe because you eat lots of cheese and you eat lots of hamburgers. So back then I was thinking like, oh, all the Americans are like with big size of bodies. Okay, maybe using fat was considered to be a too rude word. Okay. However, when I really arrived in Austin and started my exchange program there, I was amazed by how beautiful the people there are. Oh my God. There are so many girls and guys are with great body shape and like extremely good looking face. And I was like, before coming to Austin, I was like, ooh, oh my God. Okay, so there are so many people like fat and I'm skinny. I'm gonna be like so proud of myself when I went to the US and arrived in Austin and discovered like, oh, there are so many beautiful people there. That was the first culture shock. It was like pretty funny. And also then later people told me that also inside the US they have those kind of appearance ranking. And somehow Austin was ranked like pretty top when it comes to like appearance ranking. So like they say if you rank all the people in different states in the US and gave them grades, and awesome people are definitely like A or A minus, like the very, very top, like good looking people. Yeah, so yeah, that is actually pretty funny. Yeah. So I still remember there's the other day when I walk on the street and I saw this beautiful lady walk to me, and like she's so beautiful. I was like looking at her, I was like almost, forgot, like I was staring at her, like I was like, and she also discovered I was staring at her, and she's like later started to smile at me. And once she started smiling at me, and all of a sudden realized, oh, I shouldn't do that. It's actually not so polite to stare at her. Yeah, it's a very funny like story. Yeah. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to go back to Austin. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to go back to Austin after I finished the exchange program, but I remember many things in Austin back then, yeah, during that exchange program. And I was able to not only study in Austin, also went to Dallas and Houston as well, because these are the cities very nearby, right? I remember how I was able to get to Houston was by taking on a bus that is called Greyhound, right, my friend? Yeah, Greyhound bus. There's like a bus company called Greyhound that has those like commute bus from Austin to Dallas to Houston, like all those cities nearby. So one of the regrets I had back then was that I didn't go to San Antonio. Is it San Antonio? Yeah, because I heard that is like a very beautiful city. I wasn't able to go there somehow. I really regret it. Yeah. So I was always like a workaholic. We were discussing like why so many Chinese people are like workaholic, right? And we spent lots of time. So back then in school, we spent so much time studying, so much time. Um, yeah, back in school, we spend so much time studying, and when it comes to work, we spend so much time working, right? There's so many workaholics or study holic here in China. So it's all because of the I explained about the economic growth, and that's why like so many people really need to work hard, the mindset, right? And also back then, to be honest, there are it's also because like the limited opportunities and limited education resources, right? Right now there are plenty of universities for people to get into, right? There are public universities, there are also private universities. However, back then there were not so many universities. So, especially for those really good universities, the kind of education resources allocated to good universities were not so fair. Like, for example, for people like me who live in Shanghai, we get a higher chance to get into the top universities in Shanghai. For example, in Shanghai, we have the best university, that is Fudan University and Shanghai Jiao Tong University. I remember back then in my class, half of the students in my class were able to get into Fudan University, and half of the class were able to get into Shanghai Jiao Tong University. Of course, back then my senior high school was pretty good, and also my class was the best class of the entire senior high school. However, same senior high school, if you look at how many people can get into the top universities in Shanghai, the numbers of the people who can get into the top university in Shanghai decreased significantly. So if you look at the entire class, the number of people in one class was back then in my years was around like 40 people, right? So basically inside one university, you have like definitely more than 40 people were able to get into the best universities in Shanghai just for one senior high school, not to mention the entire Shanghai for so many other great senior high schools, right? However, for other provinces in China, you probably have like only one person for the entire province to get into, you know, the best university in Shanghai, right? So the education resources back then were not so equally distributed. So for those people coming from those provinces outside China, outside Shanghai, they wanted to study in the best university in Shanghai, they have to work extra hard, right? So that is why like so many people have become so competitive. They are like students studying in university from dawn to midnight and sleep only for like very few hours every day in order to be the number one in the province. It's not only to be the number one in their senior high school. It has to be the number one of the entire province in order to get this opportunity to get into the best university in Shanghai. So that's why what happened before. And that's why like you would start to see like so many people, become of our generation become like very, very competitive, the Chinese people. So it was the other day was like very interesting. that some people said that, oh, okay, can you guys tell me, like, can you tell me how to work with Chinese? Like, why my Chinese colleagues are so hardworking and always push me all the time? Something like that. I could completely understand. I could understand from her perspective. I could also understand from the Chinese perspective. I understand very little English, but when you speak, I can understand a little more. That is terrific. Yeah. Yeah, so you're right, Michael. So there is an elitism in mainstream Chinese culture. In our Chinese culture, we do have those elitism kind of system. Like you want to always be the elite of your group because you want to have more opportunities and earn a better living than others. So that's basically what happened. And that is why like you see so many workaholics of people like me, many Chinese people. So that is why like we also have those kind of work culture of 996 shared before with you guys, right? And it's still the case in those large tech companies that is happening in there as well, right? And guys, follow me, please, okay? Yeah, I have a quite big bad cough today. So um, I had a business trip last week. So whenever some people, if you are old followers, you always been my live stream, you guys actually witnessed the entire process of my business trip, right? And like I was sharing before and during my business trip that I didn't have good rest at night because I have this problem of whenever I switch to another bed, I just couldn't sleep very well, right? And also something like, you know, also have a very hectic schedule. So whenever I started to have like too much schedules in work, I just become sick. So there's definitely something I need to do to change the schedule, to change the amount of. Just I always like overwork, and once I overwork, like my body just couldn't take it, and just all of a sudden just get sick. Yeah, but still, I try my best to keep on having my live stream today. So that is why like you guys need to follow me and tap on the screen to sending likes and definitely interact with me. You have done a great job. Thank you, my friend. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, have you guys followed me? Yeah. So I guess like today I won't do like 2 hours live streaming. I probably will only do it for till I think uh, I'll try my best to do it till 9. Okay, try my best to do it till 9. Okay, so definitely need a bit more rest. Okay, yeah. So I was sharing about like so many things that's considered to be quite interesting happening in China, right? So for any new joiners, just so you know, the purpose of this live streaming is about sharing China and sharing the difference between China and the world. Okay, so I am 100% Chinese because there are people always coming in here and ask, hey, are you Chinese or are you like half Chinese? I'm 100% Chinese. I feel lucky to be able to speak English very good, but English is not my mother tongue. I speak Mandarin way better. Okay, so I'm 100% Chinese. So if you have any questions about China, and also I'm also considered to be relatively more knowledgeable. So if you want to know anything about China, if you have any questions about China, you could definitely ask in here. Would love to answer all those questions. And also since I've studied abroad, worked abroad, and also traveled to so many countries around the globe, definitely had lots of knowledge about other countries as well. So if you have questions about other countries, if you want me to do some culture comparison or some other like interesting social phenomenon comparison between China, other countries, just sending all the questions in here and we can discuss about that. Okay. Okay, so question one by one. From your experience, what is the less spicy Chinese food region in the south part of China, southeast part of China, east part of China and south part of China, that is the area with less spicy food, okay? So if you go to cities like Hong Kong, if you go to cities like Guangzhou, they have like great, amazing food, but cooked in a very healthy way, okay? No spice at all. No spice at all. So when I had this business trip in Shenzhen and we tasted a lot of like Canto food, Cantonese food. Okay, so the entire like area of like Hong Kong, Guangzhou, Shenzhen, these are called the Cantonese area, okay? So they speak Cantonese and the people are also called Cantonese, okay? Guangdongren. So the Cantonese food area are the area with less spicy food. So the reason why they have less spicy food is because of the climate. So the climate in the south part of China is very humid at the same time, relatively speaking, hot. Okay, so when you have a climate that is humid and at the same time hot, then inside the climate, if you're living in cities inside with this kind of climate, you're not suitable to eat spicy food. Because if you eat spicy food, it will add more humidity in your body using the traditional Chinese medicine theory. And also, you would also have start to have like those symptoms of what we call 上火, having too much fire, right? You eat spicy, that will bring fire to your body. You probably will suffer from like having ulcers or pimples on your face, those kind of problems. So that is why if you look at the diet habits of those Kanto area, they don't eat spicy food. They use like they just cook food in a very healthy way. Like for example, they steam the food, the steamed dim sum, right? All the dim sums are steamed, or they just boil. They drink lots of soup, right? They just boil all the stuff inside the water and drink the soup. So these are considered to be very, very like healthy way of eating. They say spicy food is good for health. Depends. Also, you need to see judge from the climate. For example, in Sichuan area, that is the area that people eat lots of spicy food because in that area the climate is also very humid. However, it's cold. It's not like in Canton area it's like hot, humid. There in Sichuan they're like cold, humid. Then in that kind of climate you need to take lots of spices, like you eat spicy food to make your like to sweat so that you can push all the humidity of your body out. However, there's also saying that just because like there are a lot of spicy food in Sichuan, the people there, relatively scientifically speaking, suffer from kind of like stomach problems more than people in other places because like when you eat spicy food in some part of your body it might be good for you. However, when you take on those spicy food it's also gonna hurt your stomach, so yeah, so really depends on where you live and you have to eat the local food. So Juan, when you ask about what is the region in China has less spicy food, just go to the Cantonese area, to cities like Hong Kong, Shenzhen, Guangzhou, Foshan. These are the places that has like amazing, amazing food and they are not spicy. Okay? Yeah. So another question is, are you proud of being Chinese? My friend, I am definitely proud of being Chinese. There's nothing more to make me feel more proud of being Chinese. So I feel like I'm very lucky to be born in China and also being born in the biggest city in China, which is Shanghai, right? So definitely being very proud of myself. I consider myself to be born in a great country with such a long history and also very proud to be born in a country that I was able to experience all the big growth inside this country, right? So definitely very, very proud being a Chinese. Yeah. So I shared before about, you know, I shared before about like the economic growth that happened in China, right? So, and also like one of the things that the reason why I started doing the live streaming since what time? I started doing the live streaming since January, like when TikTok banned, right? And still we're able to do it today. And I have live stream every day. And the reason why I can do live stream every day and every day the same topic is around China, right? Is simply because I was born in this country that has so much to offer. And there are so many things that we could discuss. Like we have 5,000 over 5,000 years of history, and there's so many stories inside the history that I could share with you guys, right? So the history itself is definitely worth like me being proud of it, right? And also the food culture, and also like how we were able to build this country from zero to where we are today, and all those like great technology development we're having today. My friend, these are, you know, definitely are like so many things in China that I feel like so proud of, right? So that is why like I feel like, when you ask me, so Seljuk, when you ask me question like if I am proud of being Chinese, I'm like a 120% proud of being Chinese. Yeah. I also feel quite heartbroken and sad, especially after COVID, when there are a strong discrimination against Chinese people in other countries. I feel, yeah, 1000%, Jesse, you're right. Yeah, 1000% proud of being Chinese. And so I feel like quite heartbroken and quite sad when seeing so many people around the globe, you know, Chinese people have to experience all the discrimination, especially after COVID. I know it is not because of what we Chinese have done anything wrong. It's all because of the conspiracy, right? The political conspiracy that caused some people to start to think badly about Chinese people. And as a result, lots of the Chinese people, no matter it's students studying overseas or it's like people, Chinese people living overseas, working overseas, right? They experience lots of unfair treatment. And I feel really sad about that. Yeah. So definitely in my live stream, no racism is allowed. Okay. Even though you're not racism toward Chinese, you're toward other race, that is definitely not allowed. If I see anyone do that, I would definitely kick that person out. Because there is a saying in China that 己所不欲，勿施于人, which translated directly into English is that if there is something you don't want people to do to you, don't do it to others, right? So as a Chinese, I definitely don't want Chinese people to be discriminated against in other countries. So that is why I also consider it not okay to discriminate on other races as well. Also, like I'm from Shanghai, I'm local Shanghainese, okay? I'm gonna say some Shanghainese just so you guys can know that I can just prove that I'm local Shanghainese, okay? 我是上海人，就是正宗上海人，从小是来上海长大的，讲上海话讲得老好。Okay, you guys can tell like I'm local Shanghainese, right? Somehow like Chinese people grow this kind of like bad reputation that Shanghai people don't like people from other provinces, and Shanghai people would look down upon people from other provinces. We call like people from other provinces like 外地人, like Shanghai people don't welcome 外地人, something like that. As a like local Shanghainese, like I really hate that saying. Okay, so yesterday when I went out and I saw like two guys on the street were quarreling, and it was like, oh my god, it was like so heartbreaking to see like one Chinese guy shouting at the other person and say that, oh, you're from other province, go back to your hometown. Why do you want to come to Shanghai? Whenever I see someone like that, even though I'm Shanghainese, okay, I just really want to say that whenever I see any Shanghainese like that, like they say anything that they look down upon other people from other provinces, the first thing that comes to my mind is like I look down upon that Shanghainese, my friend. I seriously think that person is like so narrow-minded. 对，确实就是我就想说这个事情，我真的觉得就是有这样的上海人存在，我是非常不认同的。Okay, so I do have like so many friends who have been abroad and study abroad, been to the best universities, and I feel like, to be honest, in my opinion, the most educated Shanghainese are the Shanghainese who would not have those kind of look down upon other people from other provinces, right? So like it's the reason behind that is because after we have seen the world, we have seen people from everywhere around China and around the globe. There are amazing people from other countries, and it doesn't really matter like where you're from. It's all about you, right? It's not like you from somewhere so that you're more excellent, more talented or smarter. It's just because you, right? And no matter where you're from, I've seen people who are from like very rural area who are extremely talented. I've also seen people from other countries, no matter they're black, like white, Indian, or like what kind of races. I've like seen so many talented people. Like after I have so many like eye-opening experiences, I realized that okay, it's never about where you are from that decides how you are, right? So it was like really, really heartbreaking yesterday when I saw this like Chinese like shouting on the street to another like guy saying that 回你老家去，你来上海干嘛？You know something like that. I was like, oh my god, this guy like Chinese. I feel ashamed, so shameful on him. Yeah. So I really hope that I feel like a country, a city can only develop when people inside this country or inside this city have a very open mind, and could embrace other cultures, right? And that is like how things are able to grow, right? In many other provinces, in many other countries, you do have they're like amazing cultures, amazing people, right? It's always by learning from each other, and that is how you're able to grow, right? So yeah, I know like some people just have a superiority complex. You're right, my friend, about that. Yeah. I teach you Spanish. Sure, amigo. Teach me some Spanish. Yeah, totally agree. Yeah. Who you are is much more important than where are you from exactly. Yeah. So I feel like no matter what kind of discrimination it is, no matter it's discrimination of like white against black, white against Asian, or like even inside China, like Shanghai against other provinces or Hong Kong against other provinces. I don't think these should ever happen. You know, why do people feel like they are superior just because they are born in some places, right? It's definitely not making any sense, right? You could, well, in my opinion, look down upon some people because of their misbehavior, right? Some people who don't behave very well and who are like extremely selfish. They don't have a sense of like caring about others in public. Well, you could look down upon those kind of people. However, just looking down upon people simply because where they're from, that is definitely not considered to be okay. Yeah. So when I was in business trip in Hong Kong, also experienced sort of like discrimination. There was a oh my god, such a mean guy in the restaurant, and did something really bad to me. So definitely don't welcome anything like that. Yeah. Mhm. Why didn't you wear your purple sweater? What purple sweater are you talking about? I don't remember I have any purple sweater. Yeah. Okay, so I have one. Why are there stereotypes against Henan guys? Um, I don't know because I'm not from Henan, but I've heard about those kind of stereotypes against like different areas of people. Like I said, right? One of the stereotypes against Chinese people is that Chinese people don't like people from other provinces. Okay, but I just want to say to people, there are Chinese like me. Okay, 100% Chinese. I definitely like people from other provinces, and I definitely consider looking down upon people from other provinces. Like judge someone just based on where they're from is definitely wrong. Okay, so I hope when you see some Chinese like me, that would change your mindset about like your impression, your stereotype on Chinese people. I sincerely hope that. Okay, yeah. Yeah, and guys, follow me, please. Okay, follow me, please. Do Chinese people fear the blacks? No, it's not fear. Okay, my friend, we don't fear blacks. It's just that, like, if you go to the rural areas, they don't see a lot of blacks. If you come to Shanghai, Beijing, nowadays there are a lot of black people come in here for traveling, even for work, right? So people are very used to seeing black people, so that is fine. However, if you go to relatively rural area in China and people there haven't really seen a lot of black people, then they will have some like overly curious act. For example, they would probably stare at blacks or even walk up to blacks and start to take photos there. Those definitely are considered to be very impolite and sometimes rude kind of behavior. But my friend, it's not because they fear black or it's not because they are rude. It's definitely not because of hostility. It's more because of like they find it very fascinating to see someone that they haven't seen before. Okay. So, for example, my dad has shared before when he was little, when he was like around 10 years old, like when he's little, okay, my dad was born in the 60s. Okay. So, when in the 70s, and pretty much you don't see any foreigners in China, right? So, if you have one foreigner, even though that is like white or black or like any ethnic group, as long as they come to China, like they were like super amazed. They were like seeing, okay, this is a joke, okay, almost seeing like an alien or like seeing an animal, a new exotic animal on the street, and like everyone would be just staring at this like foreigner because they don't see foreigners a lot in China back then. Okay, so that still might be this case in some areas in China. However, if you talk about, you know, large cities, people have seen like black people, white people, Indian people, like literally people from everywhere. People really got used to seeing foreigners. Like you wouldn't like experience those kind of overly curious act from Chinese people. Yeah, exactly. Speed is in China and people love him, right? You guys have you guys seen like Speed? Yeah, so like for those of you guys who don't know who Speed is, so there's like a big KOL, big content creators. I think he has almost like 40 million followers across the globe, right? And he is black, and his account name is called I Show Speed, and he came to China and still in China right now, right? The first stop is Shanghai, and then Beijing, and then Sichuan, Chengdu, right? And then Chongqing. Like no matter which city he goes to, like he's just welcomed so warmly by Chinese people. And there are also people saying that okay, Chinese people compared to people in some other countries that Speed has visited before, like Chinese people are relatively more polite, right? They are saying like that, right? And also it's so interesting. I remember yesterday I saw videos of him in Sichuan, and somehow there are a guy like wearing the mask of Messi coming over to him, and then he was like, "Oh, dude, why are you wearing the mask of Messi?" And all of a sudden took off this mask. This Chinese guy look at Ronaldo, and that is so funny. Such a hilarious video. And all of a sudden, Speed was surrounded by so many like those football star looking Chinese people, and there's one guy looking like Messi, there's one guy looking like Ronaldo, and one guy looking like the Korean football player and Chinese football player, like all the different football players. And it's so hilarious. It's funny. Yeah, and also remember back then when he was in Beijing or Shanghai, there's also another guy, like a very interesting, funny Chinese guy wearing a mask of his girlfriend's face and proposed to him. That was like so funny. Yeah. Yeah, the fact that some big KOLs like Speed came to China was definitely considered to be an amazing thing. Yeah, guys, follow me, please. Okay, follow me, please, if you haven't done so, my friend. Yeah, follow me, please, if you haven't done so. Okay, definitely considered to be very amazing because when I have this live stream, people would judge and say like, "Oh, you're Chinese, then the kind of opinion you share must be very biased towards China, right?" And some people even said that I was paid by our government to do it, right? You're very elegant. Thank you, Miguel. Yeah. However, when someone like Speed come to China, right, the kind of thing he's sharing to the world, well, would consider to be relatively unbiased, right? So he's showing the authentic China to the rest of the world. And when he's 40 million followers seeing the real China, they start to think, okay, whether the kind of China they have in their mind is same as before, or actually it should be a very new China, very different China, right? So definitely consider that to be a great thing, like having these like amazing KOLs coming over to China and do live streaming here. So the success of Speed, I really hope would set up a good example so that more foreign KOLs or more KOLs that could come to China and show the real China to the rest of the world. Oh, this coughing is getting so bad. Yeah. Yeah, I love Xiaohongshu so much. Thank you for this. Thank you, Skylar, for coming to Xiaohongshu. I guess it's because of you, all of you guys coming in here, that makes this community to become so much better, so much more diverse. And they're also, because of you guys, they're like for people like me, right, who are English content creators, can find our own spot and shine in the very competitive platform of Red Note and able to find our niche and start to build our followers, right? Yeah. And guys, follow me, please, and keep on tapping the screen to sending likes, okay? I guess I feel like I'm still not so well today, so maybe I will finish early today. Yeah, let's see how much longer I can do, okay? So, you're very open and honest. We thank you for that tonight, Trix. Thank you very much for saying that. Yes, I do consider myself to be very open and honest. When I first started the live, to be honest, I shared even more diversified kind of topics, right? Topics about like many different things about China. Somehow I later discovered that some topics are not so welcome on this platform because they would constantly ban my retina live streaming. Then I started to understand about the rules, right? So if you ever want to live stream on any platforms, you definitely need to follow their rules, right? So right now, I would limit my topic sharing more around like culture sharing. Yeah. Even though it's only about culture sharing, still there are like so many topics we can discuss because China is a country with so rich culture, right? So so um so still definitely a lot to sharing here. I will try to make it till 9, okay? I'll try to make it till 9. Definitely not in a very good condition today. Yeah. And guys, follow me, please, okay? Follow me, please. So, for those of you who are new in here, just so you know, the purpose of this live streaming is for cross cultural communication. I will share a lot about my knowledge about China. So, if you have any questions about China, about also other countries, if you want to have some discussion of culture difference comparison between China and other countries, you're very welcome to to share your thoughts in here and raise questions in here. So if I see your questions, I will definitely answer it. Okay? Yeah. 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 So you got over 12,000 likes. Yeah, that is terrific. Thanks, my friend. Yeah. So if you guys have any questions about China, would love to discuss in here. The dumpling in Kung Fu Panda are baozi. Oh, I watched Kung Fu Panda when I was so little. I don't really remember the dumplings in Kung Fu Panda. Don't remember that. Yeah. Yeah. So I want to see you, Tip Top. Thank you, my friend. Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah. And let's see if we have any other questions in here that we could discuss about China. It would be great. Okay. So I will try to make it till 9. And after 9, I'll have to take rest. Okay. So usually I would have my live streaming from 7:30 to 9:30 a.m. every day in China's morning time. Okay. And this is the time that I will have like live interaction with you guys. And at 9 p.m. every night, I will have a replay on live streaming, so that there are people who want to still watch it, listen to it. It was so interesting that yesterday when I played the replay, and somehow there were some tech problems, so the kind of screen was freezed, but the voice is still normal. And even though it's like really bad, really severe tech problems of the live streaming, there's still like 50 people online. It was like, why were you guys still online? Maybe because people are just like not looking at the screen, but just listening. Yeah. Yeah. Is the EU trying to get in bed with China? I like how you ask this question in such a funny way. Yeah, it's well, I can share like hours and hours about that topic, but I'm just not so sure about whether I could share about that because this is like pretty political topics on Red Note. Yeah. So it's quite interesting if you could observe what's going on in the world and see how different countries interact with each other. And it's very similar to how like inside like in the family, how people interact with each other, or in office, right? Those office politics, right? Like very similar. Like you just take different countries at like different head of different departments, right? Okay, so yeah, maybe this is a better way of saying it. So we just make use metaphor, okay? So we can just use like for department A for the country with like A as initial, right? You guys know, or U as initial, you guys know which country is that, right? And department E as the country or the EU, right? And department C for China, right? It's like you're having a company, and inside the company, you have like ABC departments, and there are lots of like office politics between different departments, right? So, oh, I like it. So, this is like how we're able to discuss all those like sensitive topics right now. Yeah. So, when you have like Department A, used to have very good relationship with Department E, right? And they formed a strong, you know, alliance so that they treat Department C as their enemy because this is like just one company and you're all targeting at the same markets, right? And earning the money from this market. So Department A, or actually a better way of saying is like Company A or Company E, they want to take a bigger part of the pie. So that is why they align together to fight against Department C, right? Okay, so however, what happened later is that because Department E, relatively speaking, is weaker than Department A, so Department A has to take extra efforts to take care of Department E, right? And somehow, when department changed the leader, department head, this new department head called Trumpet, started to feel like, wait, why should I just always help you, Department E, right? Because I myself might be able to generate lots of revenue myself. However, if I am also helping you, Department E, together, then I have to have this whole huge chunk of cost in my balance sheet and I don't want to do it anymore. So I have to change the department head. What happened is that, okay, they say that, okay, I no longer want to have this alliance with this department E. So what we are doing is that you're just going to do your own job. If you want to still work with me, you have to pay me some more money so that I can have a better, bigger top line revenue and we can work together, right? And then later, just because of that, then Department E start to think, okay, so if Department A is not going to help me, maybe I should form an alliance together with Department C, right? Yeah, Department E is broke, right? It's like the old generation, kind of old rich is no longer the new rich, right? So, however, like for Department C, like, oh, it's like the thriving, growing. So that's why, like, what happened? It's like very interesting to see all everything is going on in here. Right? I guess like new joiners, when you come in here, you hear all the things about like department. What is the department? Like I'm so confused, right? Yeah. So that's like a very subtle way of saying what's going on in the world. Yeah. Yeah. To avoid being banned, at the same time, still discuss a little bit, tiny bit of what's going on out there, right? Yeah. Yeah. Guys, follow me, please. Okay. Follow me, please, if you haven't done so. Yeah. Yeah. So interesting that I haven't ever heard. Yeah, right. Yeah, it's like mentality is like pretty similar. You look at all those like departments in the world, it's like very similar to the kind of departments inside countries, inside companies, and also how companies are able to. Yeah, talking about that, we can probably spend the last 5 minutes to talk about, discuss about, the office culture difference, right? The office culture difference is also very interesting, right? The office culture difference is that You see that, well, I previously worked in the US and also in China, right? The office culture is like very different in different countries. For example, one of the type of people that people really like in the US is you have to be really aggressive and always like very bespoke and always, just pounding on the table and like, hey, you need to listen to me. So those are the one type of like entrepreneurs, one type of person that you do see a lot in America, and that is considered to be like a very mainstream of successful people. However, you have those kind of people in China. If this kind of people work in the Chinese company, he's gonna die very quickly. So the Chinese office environment is never about like showing you all the time and always be the one to be very aggressive to stand in the front line. It's always the person who needs to hide. Like you need to always hide all your light. You just need to be like very humble. This is the kind of Chinese work environment kind of culture. So if you see someone who's like an American, like who's very aggressive, who's always the first one to speak in the meeting, you know always giving suggestions, this person usually don't work very well in the Chinese work environment. Yeah, so when I first started working in American firm, I was not definitely not used to those kind of people always speaking out. And I was considered, because in Chinese there is a saying called 枪打出头鸟, which means that if you are the one that pops up out of the crowd and you will be the one, then if you're the bird that flying out of the tree first, and then you'll be the bird that got shot. So that is the Chinese philosophy. So in our Chinese work environment, it's never about like being very direct and always being like very aggressive and outspoken. Like in the Chinese environment, like you have to be very subtle, very indirect. Yeah. So if you guys saw my latest post, which is like interviewing a Bulgarian friend, right? He said the other day he read a small book in one of the foreign stores here, right? He basically saw a very interesting illustration of the Asian culture and Chinese culture versus the Western culture. So by using a circle, so for example, the Western way of the circle is like going right through it. However, the Chinese way is like going around it, always like whirl, whirling around it and finally reaching the target. Yeah. So there's in Chinese, there's a saying called 话说三分, which means like if you want to express 100%, you only say 30% of it and let people to guess the rest 70%. So that is like the very Chinese culture. And so well, there's lots of like interesting discussion. In the West, those who speak the most often have the least to say. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's a kind of a leader cat. Yes, that's a kind of the mentality in China, right? So we say that 沉默是金, which is silence is gold, right? Like we have this in Chinese and in English as well, right? So usually the biggest figure is the figure that don't speak the most. They're the one who's just always at the back observing what's going on. And when it's the right moment, then they step up to solve everything, right? Like when it comes to football, it's very like Messi, right? Messi's way, like he's always observing. He doesn't run across the football court like from here to there, like right. He just basically just stay in his area, like he's just always observing like where does the ball go, right? And when he saw a great opportunity, he sees the opportunity to run it and shoot it. So that's his strategy, and that is like very similar to the Chinese way of thinking. Like the most fierce figure, the most like the greatest people, the most talented people are definitely not the people who always talk a lot and speak out and being aggressive and always like express themselves. They're actually always the people who are just lying back and just always observe what's going on out there and try to see what's the opportunity. They're never afraid of not letting people find them. They're never afraid that okay to be considered as mediocre because they only need one opportunity. And to be honest, like to them, being mediocre is a great way of protecting themselves, right? Okay, guys, it's 9 a.m. I think I have enough of today. So right now, still not in a very good health condition. No guarantee if I will do live tomorrow. Will try my best, okay? So thank you so much for those of you who comes to my live. And it would be great if you could follow me if you haven't done so. And thank you again for those followers who support me as always. And I will try my best to come to the live tomorrow. If not, please, you guys could also understand, okay? So definitely having quite sick body, okay? Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. Could you explain a little of the history behind the Great Wall next time? Yeah, sure, sure. I will try to do a bit of research on that. It's definitely considered to be an interesting topic. Yeah, thank you so much, guys. And follow me if you haven't done so. And I have also created quite many groups. So you guys could also just join all the groups so we could continue to chat, okay? Yeah, thank you so much, my friend. And thank you so much again for coming to my life. And definitely follow me if you haven't done so. Okay, bye bye.